It is April 27, 2022, and we are going to be doing a new VeggieTales Animation tutorial. So let's get started. So first, you will want to download Blender, and if you go to blender.org, you will press download Blender over here, and it will be able to download Blender for you for any operating system you may have, whether it's Mac or Windows. And then in a new tab, you can go to YouTube and type in Ultimate VeggieTales Model Pack, and you will see Cmanflip's Ultimate VeggieTales Model Pack. And then you can go to the download link over here, and there's so many model packs out there, but this one's great. So you can right-click, open in a new tab, and then when you click on Models and then click on this link, you will be able to click on this arrow and press download. And then it will prepare you a zip file, and it will download the zip file. And then it will download many different characters and personas, iRig Boolean mouths, which means a way of moving the mouth through Python scripts, and ways to move the eyes, lightings, places, and props. And then there's a README, which is definitely important to read before putting your animations up on YouTube. So now we see Ultimate VeggieTales Model Pack.zip. And if we click our arrow here and press Show in Finder, or show wherever you have it, then it will show you where this file is downloading on your computer. So now we double click on the zip file, and then double click on the folder. Now you will see many OCs, personas, characters. Now let's click on the characters for what we're doing. And then we're going to click on Bob the Tomato. And then we'll just click on this Blender file. Okay, so starting with the basics, you want to go here. This is your orbit. So just click and drag the orbit, and then you can see multiple perspectives of Bob. So now we want to click on this camera, and as we can see, the camera is not clicking because we will need to add it. So we need to click over here and press Shift A, and we will add a camera. Great. So now we will orbit and see where this camera is, and just zoom out a little bit, and then press G while selected on the camera on your keyboard, and then move your mouse over here to the right so that when you click back on the camera, you will be able to see your view of Bob. So now we will be still selected on this camera. Press G on your keyboard and move. Now, as we can see, the angle is not where we want it yet, so let's press this camera again to get out of the camera view. And then we will click and drag in the orbit, and then we will click and drag down to, and then we go to the move and then click and drag up, and then we want to have this selected while pressing R. So R helps you rotate objects. So we're going to move our mouse a little bit to the left, and then press G and move it, and just get it right. So now we're going to press the camera view, and now it's a lot better. But we still want to rotate it a little bit to the right. And now press G, and it's almost there. And just keep on doing this pattern that I've done before just to get it right. And this may take a while, but now we actually have a sense that he's looking into the camera. So great. So now we're going to select over here and press Command S to save, and to save where we are. So now lighting is very important. We're going to see our different view modes over here, and these are different viewports. So if we go to this viewport shading, it will show our final output. Now we see that we cannot see Bob at all. So we have to go back here, click over here and press Shift A, and we're going to add a light. And this time we're going to add the sun because the sun is bright enough for what we're doing. So now we will click out of the camera and then click and drag. So now we see our sun. We will press G while selected on the sun, and we will move our mouse over here so that when we get back into the camera view, when we go to this, now the lighting is better, but still not where we want it. So we're going to go here, go to this view, and then copy and paste, and then bring the lighting here. And then we're going to see the angle of the light here to make it better. Great, so now we see that this is a better angle, and then we're going to make this strength more too. Now this is where we want it, where we can actually see Bob and all of his expressions. So this is great. So now we're going to go back to this viewport, and then we're going to select over here, press save again. Always save, always make sure your work is saved. And we're going to see how to change the background now. But first, before we do that, we're going to select the camera and right click, press insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. So now I pressed right click, I pressed insert keyframe, location, rotation, and scale. And what that does is, for the camera, if it ever moves location, or if it ever rotates differently, or if it ever scales differently, it will always have that position saved on frame 1. And that's what that means. So now we're going to make the camera move, which is always a lot of fun in VeggieTales animations. So now we're going to move this cursor if your camera is not aligned, and then click toggle camera view. And then we're going to go to another frame. Let's go to frame 10. And let's make this only 10 frames. Let's see how much we can get done with only 10 frames. So now we're going to click on the camera and then press G, and then we're going to move it a bit closer. Now we're going to control click, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale, so that while the location moved, it will save on this frame, and don't worry because the location before is saved on the first frame. So now we see that the camera has moved. So now let's see what that looks like in camera view. Great. So now over here we want to change this to be more in the center. This is the beauty about keyframes, is that when you're on the keyframe you can change it. So let's right click, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale, select here, command save, and go back to frame 1 and play it again. Great. So now we're going to press command save, and so what we want to do is move Bob a little bit. So let's first make sure that after we save that the rendering will be able to work. So let's go to render properties. Let's go to film, transparent, and let's go to color management, standard, and we want a white background now. So now we're going to go to compositing. We're going to press use nodes and scroll up a little bit, press add color alpha over, and now we're going to click right over here, right in the middle. And then it will automatically connect all of this together. And then we can move this line right over here, and then check convert pre-multiple. Click on this, and then change this from 0.0. We're going to change this to 1.0, and then press enter. Now save, and then go back to layout. What this will allow for us is a white background, so that it's not gray, so that it doesn't look dull. And now we're going to go to output properties. We're going to change this to 30 frames per second because that looks a bit smoother. And then for the output, we can click on this folder and change it to documents and press accept. Great. And now we want to make sure that file extensions is checked because otherwise it won't save. For file format, we can click here and choose FFmpeg video. Great. For encoding, we will choose MPEG4. For video codec, MPEG4 DivX, and these are my preferences. You can do what you would like. It might not work, but this is what I will do, and this is what works for Mac. Then for the output quality, we're going to go to constant bitrate. And for encoding speed, good works. So let's save this. And now we can put some audio in here to work with. And what I do is I can put the audio inside Blender, and I've done this once where I put the audio inside Blender and then edit it outside of Blender and put the audio back in. So I like to do that so that if there's any editing that I want to do in video editing outside of here, I can. Like for example, iMovie. So that's also helpful if you have a lot of titles that you want to add later. But for right now, we're going to go to video editing and press video editing. And we're on our first frame. Now we can press add sound. Now you'll want to find an MP3 file. So I have one stored under documents called MI. And I named it that because it is a Monsters Inc. audio file. But if you use an audio file that's outside of your own ownership, you want to give credit and make sure that it is fair use before uploading to YouTube or anything. So now add sound strip. And now when we press play, let's go to layout and let's make this a little bit longer so that you can hear what the audio is. So let's make it 100, go back to video editing and press play.
Just the other day, someone asked me who I thought the most...
Now it's an audio clip from Monsters Inc. So now we're gonna go here, but we're only going to have that just from 1 to 10.
Just.
Because we're gonna see how much we can do with just this audio file. Get it? Just? So we're gonna go to frame number 1, save, and we're gonna go here and type in mouth. Click on Bob's mouth. Make sure you're in object mode. And then go to object data properties. And scroll up and you will see a lot of shape keys. Now these are the consonants and vowels that are stored and that work with the Python scripts that you have downloaded. And these are all in the same folder as this file as well. So for J, that would be stdg2 is a very good J. So now we're going to make this 1 and press enter. And as we can see, Bob's mouth adjusted to be a J. So now we're going to control click, insert keyframe. Now the U is just right over here in frame 6. So we want to make sure that this J stops at frame 6 so that there's room for the U. And press Control, insert keyframe. Now we want to start the U at 1. Even though the starts at 6, we start at 1 because the transition has to start at 1. So now we're going to go to UH and right click over here, insert keyframe. And then over here, we're going to make this 1 and insert keyframe, and 6. So now we need to close this with an S. So because he's really happy in this audio file, the stdg3 is very good for a happy S as a close. Even though this says close, this one's a happier one. So now we're going to end this at 10 and make this 1 and make this 0 and insert both keyframes. And then save. Now, as we can see, all of our keyframes are in place. And it won't keep on repeating at the final product. It will just stop at frame 10. So now we're going to save. And what we're going to do now is go here where this ring is. Click on the ring. Go to object mode and go to pose mode instead. make sure you're clicked on the ring. So when you're not clicked on it, it's very dull in color, but when you're clicked on it, it will be brighter. So you'll be able to tell whether you're clicked in or not. So now we're going to right click, insert keyframe, then LRS, location, rotation, scale. I'm going to call this LRS as I did in the previous animation tutorial. Great. Now we're going to have the same position, control click, insert keyframe, LRS, but in 5, we're going to press G on our keyboard and Z. So now it moves up and down in the axis when we move our mouse. So we're going to click over here, right click on the ring, insert keyframe, LRS. Save. Now we see a movement happening, which is very good. So what we want to do, normally we won't have a lot of movement in such a small segment, but I'm going to do as much as I can with these frames so that you can see many different options as you go along in these next frames. But I won't do these next frames for this tutorial. I'm only doing 1 through 10 in this tutorial. So now I'm going to click on here. We're still on pose mode. And then I'm going to right click on the box right above this right or left eye, depending on which right and left you're seeing. For it's your left and Bob's right. So we're just going to say for our left, go to this box, right click, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. We're going to do the same thing for this one. And then we're going to go to frame 10 and do the same exact thing. But for frame 5, we're going to make it bigger a little bit. So if you want to express something more, you can make the eyes bigger. So then insert keyframe and just have a way, make it so that it matches. There we go. And then press save. So as you can see, the eyes go up a little bit. But we can also make his eyes blink. So let's go over here. And now let's go to bone properties, custom properties. And so we can make it so that the blink 0 is on frame 1. Right click, insert keyframe. Go to here, click on this one, go to frame 1. Right click on the 0.000 and blink, insert keyframe. Now we're going to do the same thing for 5, not 10, but 5, because we're going to make him blink over here. So now go to 0.00 blink, make sure you're on frame number 5, make sure you're clicked over here, make sure it's also pose mode. So right click here and insert keyframe. We're going to do the same for this one on a frame 5 as well. We're going to save, and then over here on frame 3, we're going to make this 1 on 3 on the frame feed. So this is 1, and we're going to right click, insert keyframe, and for this one we're also going to make this 1 on frame 3, right click, insert keyframe, save your work. Now he blinked, but we want to make his blink a little bit more defined, so we're going to go to low squint, and this makes his eyes squint a bit. And it's a great feature to really work with. So now we're going to right click on 0.000 on frame 1, insert keyframe. We're going to do the same thing for this one on the first frame for low squint. And we're going to do the same on frame 5 for both of them as well. So as you can see, a lot of these steps repeat, which is good because repetition helps you learn more. And then for low squint, we can make this one 1, and this squishes his eyelid a little bit. Insert keyframe, and do the same for this one. So now we'll save, and now we have a more defined squint. So as we save this, we want to double check to make sure, yes, everything's MPEG-4 is where I want it saved, and the film is transparent, for that background that we did in compositing. But now let's say because it's Mike Wazowski, we want the stem to be more cartoony. So we can go to sculpting and then pan up a little bit and orbit and make the stem a little bit different. So now what I like to do is I like to go to this mesh filter that's blue right over here. So I scroll down, I click on it, and then click and drag here. And then this puffs it up a little bit. And then if we go back to layout, and if we go to final view, that looks like a bit more cartoony. But what if we want Bob to also be green? So we can go to object mode, shading. We can orbit and pan, and then click on the body, scroll up, and okay, you will find a lot of different options. So for diffuse BSDF, we can change the color right here. And then for the nose, we can also do the same. And for the eyelid, sometimes you'll have to click multiple times in order to just keep on clicking until it works, because it can sometimes click on things behind and in front. That's what Blender does a lot. So then go to BSDF and make this green. And now we got a green Mike Wazowski, Bob Wazowski. This saved. And because it's not in final render, the shadows will look a bit weird, but that's just in the viewport. Once you actually export it, it won't look that way. So now go to this viewport shading. Now it looks like that we have good animation, and this won't be red. In the final one, it will be green. We're just viewing it in red right now. So now press Control S to save, and now we can even do more in the eyes. So if we click here, click again, right in this center of the eye, make sure it's not the eyelid. So the eyelids will highlight this part and this part. Make sure you click here and here, and it will highlight the very center. So now we can make the eye move. So let's press Insert Keyframe, Location, Rotation, Scale. And then on frame 5, maybe we want him to think a little bit about what he's going to say. So maybe just go down a little bit, and then press R and then Z, and it will move in a certain location, and do R and X. So what I'm doing is I'm rotating between the X and Y axis to try to find the right spot. So you could do RZ, RX, and RY. And when you keep on doing that, then you'll find the right spot. So now, let's control click on the eye, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. So now we'll go to frame 1, click here. Now as you can see, it's not highlighted to the eye, it's highlighted to the eyelid. So we need to click again. It's still highlighted to the eyelid. So click again and again and again, and now we're highlighting the center. You'll be able to tell because this isn't highlighted and this is not either. So you can control click, insert keyframe, LRS, and then for the 5, we can rotate this as well. So go a little bit down and to the right, do RZ, and do RX, and you'll see exactly where to move. Do RZ just to make it a little bit more that way. And then once you find a good position, just control click, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. Now you can see him actually thinking towards that way. Now we can press Command S to save. And now we can also make him hop. So now we can actually make Bob move up and down. So we can click here, just in object mode, not in pose mode, and then right click, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. And we're going to make this go down on frame 9. And location, rotation, scale. I also put custom properties. That's good. Custom properties is good for things like the eyes, because the eyes have those custom properties, but this doesn't, as you can see. So now, on frame 5, we will do G and Z so that it can only move up in the y-axis, and then we will do Command S to save. And for us, it looks like the y-axis, but it's actually Z because we're panned. It's in a different position. So let's go back to frame 1.
Just.
Now we can see him actually moving up and down and hopping. This is great. Okay. And then the camera is moving towards us, so it looks like that Bob is moving closer to us, which is great. So now we can press Command S to save. And let's say you also want Bob to have a certain hat or something. And let's say you want to get this hat from Sketchfab, but you want to attach the hat to him. So now we can go to our Chrome, Sketchfab, just on an account that you have. And then I really like 3-2-1 Blender's outfits. So let's say we want a hat. We could have used that Otar hat, but let's see what model we'll want. So as we keep on scrolling, we will find that there is a fisherman hat that's really good that I like. So let's find that fisherman hat. We should find it as we scroll closer down. Here it is. This is Bob's fisherman hat from Jonah. And this would be great on Bob. So now let's download this 3D model as Blender. Great, now it's downloaded. Now, we will go to our Finder or File Explorer and then double click on Fisherman Hat. Go over here. Make sure you save this file and then open this file. It will take a while, but then once you see the hat, you'll select everything and then copy so that we can paste it onto that file. Okay, so now just select everything, press Control C or Command C, and it says copied one selected object. You can right click as well and press copy objects. Great. Now we'll close and press don't save, because all we're doing is copying. So we'll go to our model pack, our characters, and then Bob the Tomato. We'll go here, and then we will paste. Great. As you can see, it's very small and underneath him. So now we're going to press G on our keyboard and move our mouse up a bit. And scale to make it a little bit bigger. And then we can also press R to rotate. Great. That looks wonderful. Just make sure it can fit really nice and snug. Great. And now we move Bob around in pose mode. We realize that there is a situation where the hat is not connected with the body. So what we need to do for this is we need to click out of the camera view to make it easier, and then click on this object mode, click on this hat, click on this nose, because I really like to join costumes with the nose because it makes things a lot faster. And then you press join. Great. And then you press the camera, and now as you can see, now the hat is connected with the body and it moves in the same keyframes as the body does because we joined it with the nose, and now it's one item. So for the final render, we want to make sure that everything is set just as we did in the beginning and press render animation. Now, we've made him green, so it has worked and it made him green. So now, what I like to do is let's find it. So it's 0, 0, 0, 1 to 0, 0, 1, 0. Great. What I like to do is I like to edit the audio separately. So then I would just go to iMovie, and you can do this with multiple video editing platforms. You can do it with Final Cut. You can edit this multiple ways. So what I like to do is I like to go to iMovie and put the audio in separately and just put the video in and then get my audio and then put this in.
Just
And then I like to build this myself on the iMovie editor. And you can do this with Final Cut. You can do this even inside the Blender system, but I like to do it through iMovie. Because then if you need to change anything really fast, you can through iMovie. Great. So now you might want to add your own background. And a really great way to find backgrounds is on Sketchfab as well. So you can find something from 3-2-1 Blender's profile where we have many different backgrounds just like this pizza place. And let's say we will want that, and we can take this and then we can press download and then press blend. And when you always do, make sure to credit whoever is the author of the model. So now we can minimize this and let's save this one and then go into our downloads and open up the zip file, the source, and this will be great when working with textures. So now let's open this zip file and then go here and find a Blender file. Yes, we want to open this. Great. So now we actually will put our character into this because that would be great to see. And so let's go to our model pack characters and then let's click on this one. And then let's go out of the camera view. Let's have what we've saved and press Control C. And now let's go to our pizza place, source, and then our location. Now we're in object mode. We're going to press Command V to paste. And as we see, our character is very big. So now we're going to scale it down. And we'll have him seated down in one of these tables. So we can always pan out, and even if our character is out of view, we can still move our character. And there's already a camera set for us, so that's great. And if you ever wanted to use that white background, you can, but now we're using this background to talk about shading and many different textures. Great. So now we will want to update these keyframes, because as you can see, the keyframes that we've set are different. So now let's delete this one. Let's delete this one. Let's go to 10. And then for 5, we will press G, and while pressing this to make him go up, and then do the insert keyframe thing. Great. So now as we zoom in, we have everything saved, but just in a different background. So now we'll press Command S, and let's see how many things are shaded here. Okay. So we have our shading, which is great. Sometimes what we will see is we will see something pink. And if we ever do, what we want to come to is we want to click on the item. So let's say it's this card, and then we go to shading. And then with the whale card, what we will see is this is just taking it from here. There are many different things we can do. So let's say we want to edit the whale card a bit. So we can go to preview, And let's say we want to add an oval, for example. Let's say we have, hello, my name is Walter the Whale. We can save this. And then let's put this again and do whale card copy. And as we can see, our card has changed. And now it is our custom card. And there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you learned a lot about compositing, shading, textures, sculpting. We did a lot today, and we've covered a lot, and we'll see you in the next one.